The reaction to the attack at Pearl Harbor was swift and focused. Thousands of Americans volunteered for service. Industrial plants where refrigerators, cars, and vacuum cleaners were once built were retooled into factories to make planes, tanks, and ships. But who would build them? Before the war, industrial jobs were almost always reserved for white men. But everything started to change. During the war, some 16 million Americans served in the military, and thousands more volunteered for support groups and service organizations. As America mobilized, the loss of able young men in the factories became a real problem. But the war effort demanded that factories making war materials run around the clock. Who were the workers needed to run the factories? Where would they come from? Out of this need, opportunities presented themselves in a way that few expected. In some cases, African Americans or Mexican Americans were hired. Women, once relegated to kitchens and nurseries, also found unprecedented opportunities to work in heavy industry. The need was so great for workers in heavy industry that women were specifically targeted in hiring campaigns. In the past, women worked outside of the home mostly as domestic servants or in low-level clerical positions. Now, for the first time, women were doing work that many thought they would never be capable of carrying out. But they did. The most enduring image of working women in heavy industry can be found in Rosie the Riveter posters from that era, a woman with a rolled-up sleeve confidently flexing her muscle. The campaign to bring women into factories was so successful that by the end of the war, women made up 1/3 of the workforce. More importantly, American women answering the challenge to war cast off their traditional roles to prove beyond a doubt that they were just as capable as men in jobs traditionally reserved for men. When the end of the war finally came, most working women stepped aside and returned to traditional roles as homemakers. But a few remained on the job. They had the necessary skills and had already shown they were excellent workers. The experience learning new skills and the confidence from breaking away from traditional roles helped reshape the attitudes of workers and employers in the years after the war. The successful war effort, driven by heavy industry, changed the way Americans thought about working women, and some women now saw themselves as equal to men. These attitudes carried on to future generations, as more women joined the struggle for equal rights in the 1960s and 1970s. Compared to the 1940s, think of the different ways the roles of women have changed in our society. How do you think that World War II shaped the future of women in the workplace?